Today, Mars is a wasteland. It's a rugged, dry desert dotted with craters. There is no apparent life on its surface, but during the last few decades, scientists have discovered evidence of a lost Mars that resembled Earth rather than a hellhole. Although we know that early Mars was wetter, warmer, and more hospitable than today's freeze-dried desert world, scientists have failed to find direct proof that life of any type ever existed on the Martian surface. If Mars formerly had life, two major concerns remain. How did such life impact the planet, and where may we locate proof of its past existence? A new study looking into these mysteries concludes that a possible Martian ecosystem could have played a role in pushing the planet into its current hostile state. The findings also point to some areas of Mars, such as Jezero Crater, where NASA's Perseverance rover is now exploring, as prime locations for searching for indications of life. They also imply that life may be its own worst enemy on worlds throughout the universe. Perseverance has been moving through Mars for nearly 2 years, collecting samples and relaying photographs back to the hub in an attempt to establish the existence of life on Mars. Join us today as we examine the evidence acquired by Perseverance and determine whether life on Mars is possible. NASA's latest rover, Perseverance, which landed on Mars in 2021, is currently exploring an ancient dried-up river delta. The aim is that some type of microscopic life that lived and perished billions of years ago will be preserved in the sediments. It's unlikely that anything is alive on Mars right now. The rover is looking for rock samples that could be returned to Earth for further analysis. They would be the first Mars rocks returned to Earth by a scientific mission. NASA's 2020 Mars mission had numerous goals, including collecting geosamples and examining surface topography, but the primary goal of the rover missions was to determine whether or not life existed on Mars. The best place to look was where experts thought water used to be. Naturally, the area surrounding a lake or any major body of water would have the most inhabitants. Because the enormous clay crater was thought to have formerly been a lake, the Jezero Crater, Scandinavian for water, was chosen as Perseverance's 2021 landing location. Perseverance successfully landed in the crater in February 2021, and the landing site was named after the late African-American science fiction novelist Octavia E. Butler. NASA experts estimate that the Jezero Crater held Mars's longest river, and that the lake persisted for billions of years. According to their estimates, the red planet has been around for 4.6 billion years, similar to Earth. This suggests that there was either life on Mars or, more excitingly, that there is still life on Mars. SHERLOC, which stands for Scanning Habitable Environments with Raman and Luminescence for Organics and Chemicals, is a spectrometer, is a fine-scale UV instrument specifically constructed for Perseverance to detect organic matter in the samples it has cached from Mars. Why is organic material vital to NASA? Carbon-based material can only come from the excrement or decaying remains of species like plants and animals. On September 15th, mission managers reported that Perseverance had discovered organic matter while probing across 8 miles of the Jezero Crater. The rover had been gathering samples from various ridges around the crater when it discovered that 2 samples from Skinner Ridge and Wildcat Ridge contained the largest number of organic materials ever discovered by a rover. Sunanda Sharma, an instrument scientist for Perseverance, later said that the presence of such high levels of organic material was a clue if the mission's goal was to seek for life on Mars. Perseverance has a total of 43 sample tubes, only 25 of which will be cached. The organic matter is stored on board the rover, which will be handed over to a simple retrieval lander and returned to Earth for further examination by experts. This would be a joint project between the NASA and the European Space Agency. The discovery of organic materials on Mars by the Perseverance rover was significant, but not as significant as the discovery of life on the red planet by scientists for the first time. In 1996, David Mackay and his team announced that they had discovered evidence of Martian life. The proof they're referring to is a rock nestled on a pillow and guarded better than gold. It's a rock dubbed ALH 84001, and Mackay and his colleagues believe the space rock is a fragment that blew off Mars, flew through space and landed in Antarctica, where scientists picked it up. Mackay then displayed the space rock and convened the panel to discuss whether or not there is life on Mars. Not surprisingly, the entire scientific world was divided, and it wasn't just the average Joe who was doubtful, but also Mackay's colleagues. For example, William Schocked claimed that the world was romanticizing nothing more than an ordinary rock and that the existence of organic matter, while a significant discovery, was not solid proof that life existed on Mars. Today, the scientific community is divided 75 to 25, with the majority believing that life existed on Mars billions of years ago. Most likely 3.6 billion years ago when the Jezero crater dried up. The majority believes that life still lives on the planet, while there may be a small portion, in the single digits, who believe that life never existed on the red planet. But that's what Perseverance is set out to find. Outfitted with cameras, microphones and samplers, the rover is meant to collect over 43 stored samples of matter from the planet, record frequency waves, test for the presence of oxygen and more. When Perseverance landed on Mars in February 2021, it was joined by a smaller drone dubbed Ingenuity. Ingenuity was charged with gathering airborne samples and data from throughout the red planet. To date, the drone has flown 29 times around the planet, setting a relatively limited record for the longest journey on Mars. So what happens if Perseverance finds life on Mars? So far, we've discussed what the car-sized rover will perform, the tools it will use, and the hyped-up space rocks. But let's face it, if you informed just about anyone that the Mars rover discovered evidence of life on Mars, they'd expect something a little more spectacular than organic matter discovered in rocks near the side of a dried-up crater. But suppose the media proclaim that the Perseverance rover has discovered an actual Martian. To make this a little less sci-fi taking over the Earth and more anchored in the fact, we'll state that the proof came in the shape of a fossil of a Martian nonetheless. So what now? After the first shock of it all wears off, space agencies will be forced to make difficult choices and discuss previously unexplored topics. Their first thought would be to wonder what this means for Earth. The presence of life on Mars, which is the mission's primary purpose, implies that there are or were other life forms in the universe. Perhaps Earth has counterparts on other worlds with different methods of life and means of survival. But life on Mars, whether present or past, begs the question, where did it begin? This is something that has already been extensively debated. Scientists think that all life began with a unicellular organism that evolved into a multicellular organism, triggering the evolutionary pathway. Life on Mars would have started in the same way, but that life existed long before it was here. This could suggest that the history of mankind began with another meteorite landing from Mars onto Earth with the organic matter that changed unicellular organisms into multicellular ones, allowing life to begin here, or it could mean the opposite. However, given on what Perseverance has observed, craters, deserts, and the general geopattern of an abandoned planet, life most likely began on Mars. Could we nevertheless live on Mars? Elon Musk, the multi-billionaire entrepreneur, is constantly up to something that many would dismiss as nothing more than a bored rich guy looking for a pastime. The incessant ramblings that he posts on Twitter have caused people to disagree on whether or not they should take him seriously. Still, Musk wouldn't be where he is now without being a revolutionary, albeit an eccentric one. As a result, Perseverance discovered that there could be life on Mars, implying that the red planet is capable of supporting life. People discussed this in 1996, which provided the multi-billionaire with enough motivation to create his space manufacturing company SpaceX. One of the key goals of the company is to someday populate Mars. People have been signing up to be among the first to live on the planet and potentially profit from it in some way. However, scientists advise against permanently relocating to Mars. Why is this the case? Because while the presence of life on Mars would undoubtedly be revolutionary, it would not be sufficient justification for people from Earth to leave. This could be because Mars depicts the degradation of a planet when it runs out of water and is no longer capable of supporting life on a huge scale like Earth is. Furthermore, the planet's geology and atmosphere are unsuitable for humans who require oxygen and water to thrive. Additionally, the cosmic radiation on Mars is so extreme that humans would not be able to survive if they ever set foot on the planet. As part of NASA's Mars 2020 mission, Perseverance has joined a lengthy list of rovers tasked with discovering the existence of life on Mars. By collecting organic stuff on the surface of the Jezero crater, the rover has proven itself worthy of the effort thus far. Is this enough proof that life exists on Mars? No, but it's a step in the right direction. Astrobiology, especially the search for traces of ancient microbial life, is a significant goal for Perseverance's mission on Mars. The rover will analyse the planet's geology and previous climate, pave the groundwork for future human explorations of Mars, and be the first mission to gather and cache Martian rock and regolith. Will Perseverance be able to find life on Mars? Let us know in the comments section below.